Today we are cracking open a new bottle of Jim Beam Distiller's Cut. Let's get into it and see how it is. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today here on Blind Whiskey Reviews, the most honest reviews on YouTube. If you are not already subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button down below and click the bell notification. That way you'll know every time I'm uploading a new video and every time I'm starting a new live stream. Today I'm really excited to get into this one because I've had this bottle for quite a while. I've wanted to get into it. It never came up for a review, so I decided let's get into this thing. This is the Jim Beam Distiller's Cut. This guy is bottled at 100 proof and is aged 5 to 6 years. And it's a limited release, they say, but I have not, since this came out, and I think this bottle has been out for a couple of years, 2 years maybe, year and a half, 2 years. It's still sitting on the shelves around me, and I know it's been sitting on the shelves in other areas in the country, so it's definitely still out there, definitely still available, and it's definitely a very affordable pour. This can be had for under 20 bucks, and I think I picked this up for somewhere about $17. So a really good value if it's a good whiskey, and I think that it should be. I've had a taste of this one time before, right when it first came out, not my bottle, but of somebody else's, and I thought it was pretty good then, but let's see how it's tasting now. So let's crack this guy open. So this is one of probably the more highly regarded of the regular Jim Beam line whiskeys I think that's out there. So we got a screw top for 17 bucks. It is what it is. Smells good. Like I said though, this is one of the more highly regarded releases on the regular Jim Beam line. Obviously they've put out a lot of different whiskeys over the years under the Jim Beam name. So let's see how this one holds up. Like I said, it's aged 5 to 6 years. It's got a nice aroma on the nose. Picking up a hint of that nutty Jim Beam character. There's definitely a lot of those standard bourbon notes, your caramels, your brown sugar, your vanillas. A little hint of light fruit. Staying on the sweeter side, but it definitely smells like Jim Beam. But I'm excited to see how this one is, so let's get to what really matters and get into the taste. Cheers. Yeah, that's pretty good. Not tasting wholly different than maybe like your standard Knob Creek release. I would say Knob Creek maybe feels a little bit more complex, but we're like heading in that direction. And maybe that's probably because Knob Creek, I would imagine, has a couple more years of age on it on the younger end. Knob Creek is probably mainly in that like 7, 8-year-old range. So this one's probably just a touch younger, but definitely has some of those characters going on. Yeah, up front, definitely got some of that light fruit, a little bit of apple. Mid palate switches quickly into some of those standard bourbon notes, that vanilla, that caramel, that brown sugar. There's a little bit of spice there. There's definitely a pop of heat in the middle on this thing, which you don't get on Knob Creek. So maybe that's part of the difference here, being that this is a bit younger whiskey. You got a little bit more of that like ethanol taste, and a little bit, you can taste the alcohol and you can feel it a little bit. Kind of mid palate, it really kind of ramps up. Get a bit of that burn and tingle on the tongue. Kind of wipes your palate out for the back end. You're left with a little bit of bitter oaky quality. Maybe a touch of light fruit on the back end. Just a little bit of sweetness to kind of balance it out. It's pretty good. But like I said, it really feels like a younger version of Knob Creek. It's kind of like how the flavor profile of this is. So I like Knob Creek, which means I kind of like this. Now it's not as good as Knob Creek, but it's good. Yeah, more of the same. Not overly complex, but solid. So I'm liking it so far. I'm curious to see if it'll open up a little bit with airtime, and obviously we're not going to have the full results of that today, but as we always do in these videos, we're going to let it sit in the glass for 20 or 30 minutes, give it the chance to maybe give us a hint at what's going to happen after this bottle has a few weeks to open up. And we'll do the blind review down the line with a sample of this whiskey that has had time to open up in the bottle. So you'll get the real deal when we do the blind review, but this will just give us an inkling on what might happen. So let's give it the time in the glass and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. The whiskey's been in the glass a little bit over 30 minutes, probably like 35. So let's see if it's had the chance to open up just a little bit here. It smells about the same. A bigger pop of vanilla though. Like it's got a really strong vanilla nose right now. I think it's improved a little bit over with a little bit of airtime. You can taste a little bit more of that vanilla too. A little bit of that harshness in the mid palate kind of died back a little bit. A little bit more flavor. It really just tastes to me like a younger Knob Creek. I mean, it's really the flavor profile I'm getting. Let's get one more taste. Yeah, more of the same. Like I said, a younger Knob Creek is really the profile I'm getting here. You have a lot of those similar qualities. You got the light fruits up front. You have that little bit of Jim Beam nuttiness. You got some nice vanilla, brown sugar, caramel. Back end, you get a little bit of that oaky bite, blended well with some light fruit characters to kind of go over the palate, give you a nice medium finish. A little bit, like I said, there's still a touch of harshness on the palate, but it's dialed back from what it was when we first opened the bottle, and it's definitely not overwhelming. It's not ruining the experience, so that's all good. I think it's a very solid release from Jim Beam, especially for the price. Like I said, I paid about $17 for this, and for a comparison point, Knob Creek for me goes for right about $25. So for an $8 difference, in my opinion, I would probably jump up to the Knob Creek. I do think it's worth that additional price. But again, that's an almost 50% increase in price. So that's a big jump. Is it worth that price? To me it is. But depending on what you're using the whiskey for and how you're drinking it, that's something you may not notice. This is a very solid release. A pretty good product from Jim Beam at a great value for $17 or sub $20. So, depending on the difference in price to Knob Creek, your mileage may vary. If the price was $5 difference, I would definitely say it's kind of a no-brainer to go with the Knob Creek. When you're getting into the $8 to $10 range, it's questionable. Like if you just want to use this to mix some drinks or, something you don't want to think about, you just want to sit back and drink, this would make a great whiskey for that. It's really good, and it's a very solid Jim Beam line release. Some of the Jim Beam line releases are not my favorite. Some of them really aren't all that great. Like their bottled in bond whiskey, which is the same proof as this, I really don't find to be that good. It comes off a bit harsh. So I think this one is a definite improvement from that, and I believe that goes for about the same price as this. So if you have a choice between this and the bottled in bond or some of their other Jim Beam line releases, I would definitely go with this one. It's very solid, very good, and for me, it definitely isn't going to get the score that a Knob Creek would, but I would say that I'm going to give this an 83. I think it's a very good, very solid release from Jim Beam and a very good value. If you take value into account, it definitely would hike the score up even more. So keep your eye out for the blind review. That'll be coming down the line here somewhere. After this bottle's had a little bit of time to open up, we'll be pouring that sample in a few weeks. That way we can have an honest evaluation of what this whiskey tastes like at its very best. So we'll see what that score compares to the one we gave it today. But if you've had the chance to taste Jim Beam Distiller's Cut, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your opinions. I know a lot of people like this whiskey, so I'd love to hear what you guys think down below. As always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at blind_reviews. You can also catch me on Instagram at Mission Bottle Kill, and you can send me an email at blindwhiskeyreviews, that's whiskey with an E, @gmail.com. And until next time, cheers.